All right. Welcome, everybody. If you can hear me okay, just say I hear you in the comment or, put something in the comments because I've got this microphone right here and I want to make sure everything's working okay. Looks like our video is pretty good. I'm working off a fairly old laptop, but seems to be okay. So if you can hear me, type something in the little chat box that says I can hear you, and we will crank it up. Okay, trying to run a test here, making sure you can hear me. Tell you what, if you can hear me, you can smash the like button or you can type something in the chat box. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, so got a lot to share with you. Obviously, it's crazy times. Everybody knows about it. Just here's my agenda for the next maybe 30 minutes or so, kind of go over what's going on in my little world. Then I want to get into really the subject matter of executing legal documents in this environment that we're in. And then I'm going to talk about what I envision moving forward, kind of changes to the whole estate planning, theme and marketplace, and just what's going to be important out there in the future. I'm going to answer some questions that have already been asked. I have them on the email here, so I'll get to those, just 3 or 4 questions. And then talk about, if some of you may need some help moving forward, what that might look like in the coming hours, days, weeks, as we're still under this stay-at-home order. So you can type in your questions in the chat box. If you have my email, and some of you who are on this YouTube Live received an email invitation, you can email me your question and I'll get it and I'll read it as part of the agenda. All right, enough on that. Just my own little personal world. I'm sitting here in my office, which is very, very quiet. I work in a very nice 2-story building. There's probably 8 or 10 businesses that occupy this building, and the building is, I may be the only person in it. So I'm here because I'm not at home. I've been working at home. Our employees have been working at home. Came here today just because I'm kind of pulling my hair out trying to work at home. My wife's there, my daughter's there, the TV's on, the dog's barking, neighbors are all outside. And so came over here just as a little quiet time to get some things done. But, we're trying to follow the stay-at-home order. We're trying to stay safe, as you are, I hope. And so me and my employees are working remotely, and it's actually, quite frankly, working pretty well. I have in the past, especially since my 5th child went off to college in August, started working more from home, need to be in the office to visit with clients, but was doing a lot of the phone and email stuff, from home. So it wasn't that much of a switch when we had to move home. So anyway, that's the deal there. In a little bit, I'm going to get to, if you need something, if you need our legal services, how things will look moving forward. I'll get to that in a minute. All right. So let me get into really some of the kind of estate planning, or executing legal documents. It has been, nothing short of a challenge in the recent weeks. I will mention, because we had a question, the governor did issue a proclamation, and in general, it said when documents need to be notarized, you can do it via some kind of electronic video thing. And it went into what the requirements were of that. But we don't need to get into that, because in that proclamation, there was an exception, which means you can't do the video notarization stuff for wills, trusts, donations, all those things, which are, estate planning related. So we're still stuck with the kind of old-fashioned variety of having to, and I got to tell you, it is old-fashioned. I see my counterparts in the investment business doing all of these things electronically. I see people in the real estate world with their e-docs and e-signing. I see clients changing their beneficiaries on their 401ks electronically. But if someone wants to leave their ink pen to somebody in their will, they've got to get a notary and 2 non-family member witnesses and draw up a bunch of legal documents to do that. So who knows if that will change as a result of what we're going through. We shall see. But we're stuck with what we're stuck with. And just to give you an example of how we've had to deal with it, I'm going to give you 3 or 4 stories. Actually went to Denham Springs a few weeks ago. Gentleman, poor health. He had the whole strap with the oxygen thing on his. Did not have the coronavirus. Had not even been tested for it. He was, didn't have any of the symptoms, but he was nervous because his immune system was poor, and he really wanted to get the legal affairs in order. So. Needless to say, talk to him on the phone. He and his wife, speakerphone, do that a lot. Prepare all the documentation, email, all that goes fine. And then it came time to get things signed. Electronically signing is not an option. So, like I've been doing lately, I went to his house. He had prearranged for neighbors to be the 2 witnesses that were required. I was the notary. I drove up the driveway. I did not go into the house. We went out on the back patio, as you can imagine, the old picnic table, which is exactly what we did. And so we kind of did that signing there outside to try to keep things as safe as we could. And then we had to step it up even more. Same situation, got a call from a gentleman a couple of weeks ago, and lived outside of New Orleans. And he had tested positive for the coronavirus. His literal words were, "I think I'm going to die." So he was a partial owner of a business, and he wanted to make sure that if he were to pass away, there would be no interruption in the business, and that his wife could keep getting the dividends and keep operating things, and things wouldn't get tied up through the courts. So real important for us, we understood his objectives, prepared all the paperwork, sent it to him for his review, had a couple of phone calls, answering questions, making sure things were perfect. And then it came time to get things signed. So this is a guy that was tested positive for the coronavirus. And I'm like, how do we do this? And he certainly did. He was actually quarantined in his house. I think he lived upstairs, wife downstairs. Wife wasn't positive. And so this is one where, we got to get it. We got to figure out a way to get it done. And so, we couldn't just say, sorry, you're on your own, find a notary and witnesses on your own, or check back with us when the stay-at-home order is over, or check back with us if you get better. So we had to find a way to get it done. So sure enough, we created a plan, and he was just as cautious as anybody was on this. And I gotta give him a lot of credit. So the way it worked was, a folding table on the driveway had been completely disinfected. Folding chair in front of the table. For some reason, towel hung over the chair. My wife and I drive up in the driveway. My wife's with me because she's going to be one of the witnesses. And then he had a neighbor who was parked in the street in front of his house who was going to be one of the other witnesses. And so, he came out all, masked up in gloves. And it's kind of funny because one of the effects of the coronavirus is, and I'm not sure if I got it right here, but you either lose your appetite or you lose taste or whatever. So he had lost a bunch of weight as a result of it. And he was holding up his blue jeans as he was coming out to his driveway because they were falling off of him. But, we were all masked and gloved up. And fortunately, it was not a windy day because there was a lot of paperwork we had to sign, and had a little plastic bucket. Fortunately, most days I walk in my neighborhood with a doctor, and he kind of coached me on what to do. So we put all the paperwork in a plastic bin, pulled it out, put it on the table. He signed, had his own pen. Sign, flip over a document, sign, flip over, sign, flip over. We had all the sign here tabs on there. And then his wife came out because she needed to sign the stuff as well. And then the witness from the car, he came out and signed everything he needed to sign. And then we stuck the documents in that plastic bin. I put them in the back of our vehicle, and then just let them sit for a couple of days. My doctor friend said is just let them sit for a couple of days. The coronavirus can't pass after they've, sat on paper, but everybody gloves, mask, everything. So, and it was real quick. So anyway, that was just reason I tell you that is just kind of, we got to figure out how to get it done. So that was one. Had another one who wanted to get things signed, and they were willing to come to the office, and we were right here in this room. but it was really, really fast. I mean, they came in, they brought their own pens. Nobody even sat down. The paperwork was already laid out on the table. No shaking hands, obviously, none of that. They come in, they were kind of friends of mine, so we chit-chatted from a distance for a few moments after they signed, but it was really in, sign, out. And so that was one we did in the office. Next week, I'll be going to someone else's house again. And really everybody has a sense of urgency because people are still calling the office. You know, the fact that people are going to want to get their legal affairs in order, that's not going away. And we always kind of give people the option in these circumstances. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, as far as getting everything signed, we can wait till things die down, or maybe that's an inappropriate choice of words. Wait till things settle down, wait till the stay-at-home order is lifted, and then you can come into the office and get things signed, or we can just figure out a way to get things signed, notary and witnesses and all of that. Which would you prefer? 100%. I want to find a way to get it done. So there's obviously a kind of a heightened sense of awareness there that people have. So the bottom line on executing legal documents, especially estate planning legal documents, is we're just kind of stuck with these old rules that people have to sign these documents in the physical presence of a notary and two witnesses. And again, sometimes people might say, can my son or my daughter-in-law be a witness? No, they can't. And so in this environment, it's tough to get that done because people don't want to leave their home and they don't want anyone else coming into their home, but we figure out a way. So like they say, where there's a will, there's a way. This pales in comparison to what all of those doctors and nurses are doing in the hospital. So, got to give them a big, applause there for what they're doing. Okay. So that just, I share those stories with you just to give you an example of what people are doing to get some of these things done. And when we get to some of the questions, there's questions about changing things and amending things, and I'll get to all of that as well. All right, so I'm going to move from there to what's the estate planning landscape going to look like in the future. And I think as a result of all this, you're going to see some things emphasized more in the estate planning arena, some things emphasized less in the estate planning arena. This is just my prediction based on now roughly 30 years of experience helping families and listening to what their concerns are and trying to help them solve those concerns. So obviously there's a little bit of a heightened sense of awareness now, and in some cases a significant heightened sense of awareness of getting legal affairs in order. And I hate to be blunt about it, but what's going through people's minds are, there's this coronavirus out there. It's very dangerous. If I get it, I may not be in the best of health. My immune system is great. Maybe they're saying I have lung issues, I have heart issues, I have diabetes, I've had cancer. I'm at risk. I want to make sure I get my legal affairs in order because, quite frankly, I might die. So I just know that those thoughts are going through people's minds. So obviously there's a little bit of a heightened sense of awareness of getting legal affairs in order. And quite frankly, not even, as much as the what happens if I die scenario, it's the what happens if I get sick scenario. And there you get into all of the power of attorney and healthcare stuff and living will stuff that's kind of part of the overall estate planning process. Now, I also see in the future, there'll be lots more communications with lawyers via telephone, teleconference, that kind of thing. And it's always kind of eaten at me a little bit. I've had many clients. They have their financial advisor who they've entrusted with their life savings, and that advisor may live and work in another city or in another state, or maybe they have all of their investments at Fidelity or Schwab, and there is no local presence, but they're perfectly fine dealing with someone by telephone or even video conference, although telephone's really simple. Video conference requires a little bit of technical expertise. Perfectly fine dealing with, their life savings via phone and teleconference. But it's kind of funny over with the lawyer. There has been a big group of people, kind of like the woman yesterday. I got a call. She was kind of panicking, and justifiably so. Her husband had died Monday, 2 days ago. He slipped in the shower and fell and died kind of instantaneously. And bless her heart, kind of kept her in my thoughts and prayers in the last 24 hours or so. But she was really, really nervous. I called her right back. I was out on my walk with the doctor when she called and left a voicemail. Called her right back, and she was like, "Well, my son's here. He has a question. When can we come to your office to ask you our question?" And in a kind of a very polite and sincere way, I'm just, in the interest of time, I basically said, "Well, you can't come into the office. We all work from home." And she was like, "Oh no." And then I said, "Well, what's the question?" And she said, "Well, he's right here. Let me hand you the phone." She handed him the phone. He put us on the speakerphone so his mother could hear. He had one question about his mother's power of attorney, and we solved the issue. So starting to train people to realize that it's okay to do a lot of these conversations via telephone, via teleconference. And so this requirement that people stay at home, we'll see a lot more of the virtual stuff or the teleconferencing stuff or the Zoom stuff, or even just get on a speakerphone with your spouse stuff as we get things done in the future. Also in the future, I think you're going to see more of an emphasis on the probate avoidance because of what's happening right now. The woman I talked to yesterday, she and her husband had set up a trust. Their investment accounts were in the trust. There's not going to be any interruption. And so she won't even need to come into the office. Now, contrast that with maybe someone who lost a loved one a month or two ago. A succession is required. Accounts are frozen. Courthouses are not even open. So I can't even imagine how long some of these probates are going to take. Many of them require multiple steps, multiple judges' orders, and maybe something that would have taken 6 months in the past may take a year or a year and a half now, because of all of the complications of courthouses being closed due to the stay-at-home order and the coronavirus. And if they're not closed, they're slow at best. I have another attorney who handles a lot of the communications with the courthouse, and I think where we are, there's I don't know how many judges there are handling probate matters, and in our parish, maybe there's 10. That's a guess. One is at the courthouse, and I think they're mainly handling kind of emergency matters. So the probate succession stuff is going to get delayed even more. So as a result of that, and as a result of more people's frustrations with when a loved one dies, relying on lawyers and the court system to get things done, I think people are going to get more frustrated with that and look for alternatives so that they can eliminate all of the court and attorney involvement upon the death. And they'll do that in many situations by creating, family trusts and revocable trusts that entitle assets in the trust, so that all of that court and attorney involvement is eliminated when they pass away. So I think we'll see even more of an emphasis on the kind of quote avoiding probate in the future. And then here's one that I predicted. I haven't seen it talked about anywhere, but a lot of lawyers like myself spend a lot of time helping I'll call them the middle class, those people who are not poor, but they're not rich. Those people with maybe they've saved $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 during their lifetime, and in the past they've worried that if they got sick and needed long-term care, they'd have to go into a nursing home, and then they'd have to deplete their entire life savings down to $2,000 or less. before they qualified for Louisiana's long-term care Medicaid eligibility or whatever state they're in. Well, with so many deaths in nursing homes, and it's all over the news, and so these people who are in their 60s and in their 70s, and they're wondering what their future long-term care will look like, and they're watching probably people that they know, pass away in nursing homes, in assisted living facilities, and all these people are just who are in their 60s and 70s at home. They got nothing better to do than they have to just sit there and watch the news all day, every day. And they're just seeing nursing home after nursing home, people dying in groups. And it's been terrible. And but I think, quite frankly, where that's going to lead people to and lead family, what families will do in the future is look for nursing home alternatives. And so, you might have the mom or dad or both of them who are more willing and have more of a desire to stay at home, get help in the home. You might see children of mom and dad be more adamant about mom or dad not going into the nursing home. So you may see, elderly parents, a surviving parent, for example, move in with their daughter, with their son. And you may see families attempt to keep people out of the nursing home as a result of all of the, thousands of people who have passed away. And I'm sure there'll be many thousands more in nursing homes around our country. So I think you're going to see less emphasis on how can I protect my assets from having to deplete them all if I need to go into a nursing home and qualify for long-term care Medicaid. In the past, when I've asked people across the table from me, what is it that you want me to help you with, or what is it that you worry about from an estate planning perspective? In the past, many people, one of the first phrases out of their mouth is, my biggest worry is if I get sick, I don't want to lose everything to the nursing home. Well, moving forward, if a lawyer brings up, are you worried about losing things if you go to a nursing home? I know us lawyers are going to hear the next words out of that person's mouth are going to be something like, I'm not going to a nursing home. And then they'll get into, I'm going to stay at home, or my children have convinced me that they'll never allow me to be in a nursing home, or whatever the case may be. So you'll see perhaps some less emphasis on the Medicaid planning, which does require people to get assets out of their names and have those assets out of their names for at least 5 years before they are eligible to qualify for long-term care Medicaid. So I think that's what you're going to see. All right. And next thing I want to do is I want to go through some of these questions. I think there's only 3, unless some more have come up lately, which I don't see. So let me just get to some of these questions. When we sent out an email yesterday, we invited people to email back with their questions. It's always tough for me to answer people's questions, because I always find either they ask a question, but I don't understand the whole context of the situation that they're asking the question on behalf of. So I have to just kind of guess the whole context there. And then sometimes people, I've done this kind of work for thousands of people, and sometimes, clients will just ask a question and I haven't gone and done the research on their particular situation. So again, I just have to answer the question generally without knowing all of the specifics of that particular person or couple's situation, but let's give it a shot. All right, so let's see here. We've got, here's a question that came in. When we sold our home in such and such town and bought another home in such and such town, do we have to wait for the 5-year period on the new house? Not sure we had fulfilled the 5 years there. Why wouldn't those years we had on the other house roll over to the new house? Hope you understand what I mean. Okay, good question. Get it a lot. So that's a question involving someone transferring assets out of their name into a trust. And again, just like I said before, waiting, letting the 5 years pass so that when someone applies for Medicaid in the future and Medicaid asks on the Medicaid application, have you transferred anything out of your name in the past 5 years? You can say no to that question and then proceed with Medicaid eligibility. So the typical scenario is someone puts their home or other assets in a trust, and then they decide they want to sell their house and they want to move to another house. So the typical scenario should be they sell their house as trustees of their trust. They sell their house, and the proceeds of the sale are payable to their trust. And so those go directly in a trust account at a financial institution. And then the trust uses those funds to purchase the new house in the name of the trust. And so no new 5-year period should or will start, because it was the initial transfer of the of an asset to the trust that started this 5-year period. Selling and buying assets within the trust doesn't trigger any new waiting period or penalty period. Now, just what happens sometimes is someone buys that new house, that second house. They buy it in their name, which they shouldn't have. They should have bought it in their trust, in the name of their trust. And they buy it in their name. After having sold the other house, they buy the new house in their name, and then they transfer that house to their trust. Yeah, that will trigger another kind of 5-year waiting period, because anytime you transfer something out of your name, that triggers the penalty period, or commonly referred to as the 5-year penalty period or waiting period. But sales and repurchases within the trust, that doesn't trigger any new 5-year period. Okay, good question there. And then let's see what else we got. We have one here. Looks like from an attorney in New Orleans that says, I'd like to know how to get orders signed at the 24th JDC and CDC. I'd like to know how to get documents notarized or both witnessed and notarized electronically, and whether they will be accepted, and what to do about wills when an holographic will is not practical. Thanks. And he wrote his name. Okay, good luck getting orders signed at the courthouse. I got nothing. I know every courthouse is different, but they're all at best on a skeleton staff or a crew. And so the only advice that I have is patience. Hate to say that a squeaky wheel may get the grease, but sometimes with courthouses, I know in the past, even prior to coronavirus time, we sometimes just have to nudge these courthouses. We call them up. Hey, I know it's sitting on the judge's desk. Can you go grab it from the judge's desk and have them sign it? And I don't even know if that's possible to do now. Probably not. So got nothing there on how to get orders signed. Now, how to get documents notarized or both witnessed and notarized electronically. Well, we do have a proclamation by our governor. Depends what you're trying to get notarized. It's kind of a mess. And I think, I watched a webinar on it recently, and it's questionable whether the governor had the authority to do that. But if you're referring to estate planning documents like wills, trusts, donations, the governor's proclamation that allows notaries to be done electronically doesn't apply to wills, trust, donations, like I said earlier. So you're kind of stuck doing it the old way. I mentioned 3 stories earlier: going to people's houses, driveway, backyard, picnic table, coming into the office where someone hasn't been able to get their important estate legal documents executed properly. And I got to mention, it is so important now to follow the rules, because estate planning legal documents are often questioned or contested, because sometimes when someone signs a will or a trust, they are excluding or limiting what one or more people will get. And so, that often creates a situation where those people who were excluded want to try to contest everything. And one of the reasons people tried to contest legal documents is because the formality requirements were not met. So we have to eliminate that possibility of contesting due to formality requirements not being met by making sure that the formality requirements are met. So whereas, when you go do the house sale, I have bought and sold probably 10 pieces of real estate personally over the years, and I've never seen the witnesses in the room in any of those closings. And I'm not trying to get my title people in trouble, but the purchase of a house is not typically questioned or challenged due to a lack of formality requirement, but an estate planning document can be. So we have to make sure we meet those formality requirements. All right, moving forward here. Have another question. Let me find it. As a stopgap, can a revocable living trust be amended with a handwritten document? If so, does it need to be witnessed or notarized? If the answer is both is no, then what are the options while you are sheltered in place? So, you know what? You're watching this on YouTube. I have made about, I think, just shy of 400 YouTube videos on my channel called Rabalais Estate Planning, LLC. For those of you who have a little bit of technical savvy, you can pull up the old YouTube website and then do a search. And in fact, I made a video a few months ago on how to amend a trust. And so essentially, you can't handwrite a change on a trust, even if it's a revocable living trust, as you asked with your question. So the change has to be what's called an authentic act, which means they're typically typed up and then notarized and witnessed by two people. And so going back to what are the options while you are sheltered in place? The options are figure out a way, just like we do, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute on moving forward, kind of finding out a way. I will say, and let's talk about moving forward. And before I get into moving forward, if you need something done, it's just a little side note. I've been working on something for probably about 7 or 8 months, long before the coronavirus hit, because I know that there's a small segment of people that it's those do-it-yourselfers. They want to do it themselves. They don't want to hire a lawyer. They want to write their own will. In Louisiana, they typically know that they can do an holographic will, which is a handwritten will. And in fact, there's 26 states that permit people to kind of write out their own will. Louisiana calls it holographic. Other states call it holographic. And there is no notary requirement. There is no witness requirement. All you have to do for most states, and certainly for Louisiana, it has to be entirely written, dated, and signed in your own handwriting. So this is really a message for those people who are out there sheltered at home, got nothing in place, really want to get maybe a simple will in place, maybe wants to leave things, their estate to their spouse, maybe wants to leave things to their kids, may want to make a specific bequest or two, may want to leave the lifetime usufruct of their estate to their spouse and name their naked owners. So what I've been working on for about 7 or 8 months is a website that I'm building just for that small segment of people in those 26 states where handwritten wills without any kind of notary or witness requirement are allowed, so that you can do it right there in your home and gain some peace of mind. I know that for many, estate planning is far too complex for do-it-yourself. You don't want to do it yourself. You need a lawyer. You should get a lawyer. But there is that segment, and I've seen them over the 30 years. I've seen the handwritten wills come into my office. Created a website which teaches people, how to do it right. So it's a website called validhandwrittenwills.com. It's not even really, there's nothing on there available, although it's close, especially for the Louisiana version. If you want to find out if you're in that situation, stuck at home, don't want to get out, don't want anybody coming to your home, your situation is relatively simple, you want to get a will in place, then just shoot me either in the comments or the email, kind of what your situation is, and we'll see if we can help you. I know that on this website, I think it's going to be, depending upon whether you're single or married, and to get all of the sample forms, video instruction, written instructions, so that you can get it just right, it's going to be somewhere between maybe $100 and $200. Still going to require all the probate stuff when you die, because it's still a will and you're not taking any assets out of your name. But for some people who have nothing and they don't want the state laws to dictate who gets their stuff, you can name your executor and all those things as well. Then if you have any interest, just comments or email. We'll see if we can arrange to be able to help you. Okay, moving forward, what do we do? If you, this is just for those of you who have some immediate need for some type of estate legal assistance, and I'm going to categorize it in generally into two different categories of people. One is those people who don't, in fact, there was another email. I must have missed that one, and maybe I missed some questions, but let me check real quick. There was a message from somebody, I don't see it on my email, that I got yesterday that says, thanks, I'll be on the YouTube live. We need to get this done. So for those of you who are kind of a new matter and you want to just start a conversation about what it might look like to get your things in order, then the best way to do that is either on our website, RabalaiSestatePlanning.com. You can click the top bar or click the big red bar that just says, says something like schedule a call. And then you'll be taken to my calendar where you can pick a day and a time where I will call you on the telephone, and you can plug in your details of what it is that you want to discuss. That's real helpful to me. And then I will call you at that prescribed time. And because I'm the one in my office who really handles all of the initial discussions regarding new matters. Now, generally, if you have an existing matter, maybe you worked with me and then my office to get things done years ago, but we had a question from somebody who is interested in doing an amendment to something that they already created. Well, the best way for those kind of existing clients to get service is just simply to call our office number. All numbers that we have, and we have 4 or 5 phone numbers for 4 or 5 different areas, they all lead to Brooke. And so it could be the 225-329-2450. It could be the 866-491-3884. It's on our website, on our contact us page. Just the way our phones are working, even our phones get forwarded to Brooke's cell phone, but if Brooke doesn't happen to answer it, then it comes back to the office voicemail, and she's checking the voicemails, several times throughout the day. So because all the kind of amendment stuff, the maintenance stuff that we do, I always turn that over to Brooke and Catherine, and they do a phenomenal job helping our clients kind of maintain their existing stuff. Catherine in our office, she's the one anyway who prepares every will, trust amendment. So it really doesn't make sense to come through me on that amendment stuff, because I just route it back to Catherine and Brooke. And Catherine's a lawyer, has been working with me for 11 years. She does an amazing job. So new people, click to do the schedule a call thing. Existing people, just contact the office. We're on it, and we'll keep moving forward. Like we all know, the challenge is getting things signed. We're going to find a way. Okay, so with that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up here. My plan is, I want to, now that we're still stuck at home, maybe either every day, 5 days a week, or 3 times a week, I want to do a YouTube live presentation on little niche aspects, so that while you're home, while we have a little bit of free time, we can create more educational content. The beauty of it, as we do it on YouTube live, is as soon as we finish it, YouTube automatically posts it as a video on YouTube, so people who weren't live can watch it later. I can attach a description to it, so the search engine stuff will find it. In fact, I see 3 of you have already smashed the like button, which is amazing. The more people smash the like button, the more people YouTube shows my videos. Those algorithms like to see people smash the thumbs up button if you have it somewhere on your screen. Let's see if we can get it to 4 and 5 before we finish up here today. And that'll please our YouTube algorithms. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to wrap it up. I hope everybody stays safe. Look for, hey, we got to 4. Great job, whoever that number 4 was. Got 6. Okay, that's exciting. See, y'all made my day. And I never thought at 55 years old I'd get so excited about seeing people hit the thumbs up button on a YouTube live presentation. But hey, it's the little things in life. So thank you all for your patience. It's this kind of chaos time. We're up to 7. We're rolling now. In fact, hey, if you want to share this video with your friends and family, feel free. You can. There's a share button. You can email it, text it to other people, and you know, the more we spread this out there, the better. All right, y'all take care. I'm going to wrap it up, and we'll see you next time.